Hi, it's Steve Hargadon, and welcome to the 2017 Tiny House Summit. Oh, what a special treat we have for you today. We've got teachers and students from Henderson County Public Schools who are going to tell us about building a tiny house. Miss Brittany Willis is here. Brittany, welcome.
Hi.
And you're with Shelby and Madison, who are two of your students, right?
Yes.
Okay, so girls, Shelby and Madison, tell us about this project.
Well, we started it about a year ago
when we were in the first interior design class. It was just an idea. They were like, what if we got all the classes to do one big project? And we didn't know if it was going to happen, but it kind of did.
Yeah.
What was the class?
Interior design.
Nice. And so what? When did this start?
October 2015.
Yeah.
And have both of you girls been involved since then?
Yes.
Day one.
Yep.
Okay. And is it completed now?
No.
No, we still have to finish it.
We have to install a couple more things and pick out some finishes.
So did you work just on the interior design portion or on the actual build itself?
We're working on cabinets right now. We've been staining them, so I guess if you count that as building.
Yeah, and we picked out the colors of like the roof and the panels and stuff.
So they didn't put anything together or cut anything really. They told the boys what they wanted done.
They told the boys what they wanted done?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna share a secret with you, which is so funny. A significant percentage, if not the great majority, of the people that I've talked to who have built tiny houses have been women.
Interesting.
Okay, so girls, what's been your favorite part of the project?
I like seeing it being put together. Like, it's a great feeling.
I like picking out things for it.
She likes spending other people's money.
Yeah, I like spending other people's money.
Nice. Okay, and have you told like your parents and other people who aren't at the school about this project? And when you tell them, what kinds of questions do they ask?
A lot of times I get asked if like somebody's actually gonna live in it. They think that it's just a tiny house that's gonna sit there and look pretty, but they don't get that somebody's gonna live there.
I always get asked, how much is it? That's what I get asked.
Okay, and both of you, let's answer those questions.
Someone gonna live in it?
Somebody's definitely gonna live in it. We're gonna sell it.
I don't know how much it is.
Because
we haven't finished it yet, so we don't really know.
Cost us?
What's an estimate?
Uh-oh.
I thought it was going to be around $27,000 because that's what you see on TV, but
We'll probably have around that much in it, so we have to sell it for more than that.
And do you have somebody, a kind of customer in mind for buying it?
who wants to buy it, I guess.
No, I mean, we didn't put anything in it that made it like specific to families who have children or anything like that. So it'd probably be better suited to people who don't have, children.
Families.
Yeah, although you'd be shocked at how many people you can fit in a tiny house. In fact, we interviewed one couple who have a school bus. They live in it with their daughter, and then they have six beds, and they rent it out to people, and they travel around to national parks or big parks in Europe.
That's awesome. That is cool.
Okay, Shelby and Madison, could you live in this?
No.
I think I could. If I lived by myself, I could.
I'm too claustrophobic. I get like, I need out of this space and into a bigger one.
Girls, why do you think that tiny houses are so popular right now?
Because they're cheaper. And whenever you drop your mortgage down to something that small, it gives you money to do other things, like have more experiences.
And also because when you buy a tiny house, you're kind of like going green, and that's really big right now too. So.
Yeah, were there elements of this project where you were careful about the materials or thinking about green or sustainability?
Yeah, actually, the floor that we picked out was too heavy, and the tongue weight was too much on that side.
On the wall.
Yeah, so we had to change our floor
For the bathroom.
So we had to pick a sticky tile to put down in the bathroom.
Ms. Willis, what was it like for you as a teacher? Is this the first time the school's done this kind of project?
No, our school used to build whole, big houses, not tiny ones, but not since I've worked here. This is the first project we've done. I've been here 4 years since the first one.
Brittany, what do you think the girls have learned that they wouldn't otherwise?
I think they've gotten a lot of skills that they're going to be able to repeat when they're adults, which is not that far off because you're both 16. Like what 16-year-old knows how to stain cabinets, lay tile, things like that. And teenagers can't make a decision to save their life usually, and they've had to make so many decisions about what to put in here. So I think they've learned a lot about that, and they've gotten good at it.
I feel like it also helps us, like, if we do want to do a job with this, it helps us know, like, what part of the job we want with, like, design or something like that.
True, because it's not all just buying the pretty stuff. It's a lot of dirty work, and staining your clothes.
And
they've seen the real side of interior design.
Girls, would either of you consider going into a business that was associated with manufacturing, tiny houses, or construction?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Depends on what side we're working on. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Explain.
What we're doing.
Would you like do?
The interior design side of it, yes.
I don't know how much I like building stuff because I always thought it was so easy. Like, you'd watch TV shows and you'd be like, that's nothing. But whenever you actually comes down to it, staining cabinets isn't the best thing in the world.
Are either of you thinking about college?
Yes.
Yeah.
So will this be like high on your application list of things you?
Yeah. I want to do it.
Yeah, I'd definitely put it there.
Yeah.
If you could reinvent high school, how would you make it different? And would this kind of a project be part of that?
Definitely. If I were to do it, it would be like basically not just classes like this, but mostly because it's really helpful.
I would feel like I would focus more on CTE classes because although you have your core classes, you have to learn those, but I feel like CTE classes, like I wouldn't know how to stain cabinets if it weren't for this class. I wouldn't know how to sign a check if it weren't for CTE classes.
I honestly wouldn't have even thought about interior design at all if it wasn't
offered.
Miss Willis.
This is high praise. I hope you're beaming, Miss Willis.
Yeah.
Okay, girls, is there anything else before we switch students that you would want to tell us about this project or your participation in it?
It's definitely not as easy as I thought it would be. Because going into the project, I thought it was going to be like actually just designing the interior and then leaving it at that. And I thought it would be a quick job, but this job has actually taken longer than I thought it would. I think it's taken longer than any of us thought it would take.
Yeah. There's so many people involved, and we all have to wait on each other and work on each other.
And we can't just pick out fabrics. It has to go with the scheme, and we have to. It's a lot of figuring things out as you go, I guess.
And I don't know which one is Shelby and which one's Madison, but who didn't answer the question?
Oh, me, Shelby. Yeah.
Shelby.
Yeah, I would highly recommend doing stuff like this for other high schools because it's been amazing.
So we're going to do a Tiny House Festival in Asheville next fall. Would you consider coming and volunteering? And if the house isn't sold, maybe even bring the house?
Definitely.
Do you think that would be fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do we. Okay, so let's, Brittany and Shelby and Madison, thank you. Miss Willis, let's let them go and bring the next set. And while we're doing that, would you tell us how big the house is?
How big is the house?
8.
what did we finally decide?
I think it's
16.
8 by 22, and then we've got a loft that's also 8 feet long, so 8 by 8 up there, and another approximately 4 by 8 on the other end. Around 200 square feet, I think.
This is Mark Searcy. And Mark, Brittany, what's your actual title at the school? I'm not sure you said. Maybe you didn't, I forgot.
Family and Consumer Science.
Family and Consumer Science. And Mr. Searcy, what's your job?
Carpentry. I teach carpentry.
And were you involved before when you were building houses?
Not with tiny house. I built big $1 million over-the-top homes for the last 20-something years. So when you land in a classroom and all you can build is a birdhouse, this tiny house has been a great project.
So it looks like Brittany kind of slid out of the view there. If you can still hear me, Miss Willis, thank you. I hope you'll come back in as we wrap up here, or maybe you have to go, but really appreciate it. Okay, so you were building homes as a private contractor, but not, you saying before coming to school?
Yes, I was a licensed general contractor in North and South Carolina for 31 years.
Okay, and the school has a history of actually having students participate in house builds before this tiny house?
That's correct. It has not happened for the last several years. It was not happening when I first got here, but my vice principal was involved years ago, and they would actually build columns and build basically a modular type home out here on site. None of the finished work got done, so it really was just a shell that was being built before it was moved.
Okay, and describe the building that you're in. Is it a part of the actual physical school?
It is. We got a nice big shop with a big enough door. We didn't have to do any retrofitting on the door to get the tiny house in and out. Carpentry shop with all of our carpentry tools here.
And how did the idea of building a tiny house come up?
I think the ladies ought to tell you that. This is their dream. They pulled it all together and made it happen. So when Courtney comes in, start that question. You need to ask her that when she comes in.
Perfect. Are you going to bring Riley and Dalton in?
Yes, I am. Come on, guys.
Hey, guys. Thanks for being here.
Dalton and Riley.
Nice. Okay, so Dalton and Riley, have you been involved since last year, or when did you get started?
I just got involved whenever I joined his class this semester. That's when I mostly got involved and started helping him out.
Yeah, this is my third class with him, so I've been involved since first semester of last year.
Nice. Okay, and you're both going to have to pretend your teacher is using a teacher voice because it's really, the microphone's a little too far away. But what's been the best part of this project for the two of you?
Well, with a little bit that I've been involved in it, I've helped Mr. Cersei figure out a few things. Well, we're trying to figure out a few things, especially like with the loft. I think is the staircase. He doesn't know how to, or he doesn't know how. He does know how. We're just trying to figure out like the best fit way to have this ladder in there since it's such a tiny area. He wants to know like what would be the most like storage efficient way to do that. So we've kind of thought of several different ways to be able to get into the loft, making it easier for the tendon. So that's been really fun, but that's been like kind of like my main go with the house as of right now.
What was the question again?
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part. I would actually do this myself and make a tiny house for myself and actually live with it.
Oh, so, okay, you're Riley, right? Okay, so Riley, you think that you could actually live in a tiny house? Like, you think this enough that you might actually do it when you graduate?
Yes, I would actually really do it because I don't really like a very big house, and a small house is much cheaper and easier to upkeep.
Okay, your answers are like gold, so that it's hard to hear you makes it, we're all straining. I'm sure the audience is going to be straining. So, loudest voice possible. So, there are, like, would you build it yourself? Would you work with a builder? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I would work on it mostly myself and have some family and friends work on it with me too, and maybe have Cersei help a little bit.
Do either of you know somebody living in a tiny house?
No.
I do not.
Okay, well, there are lots around. So our Asheville tiny, I mean, I don't know how far is Asheville from where you guys are?
Yeah, a little over 20 minutes. We have some tiny house communities starting to really flourish here in Henderson County.
You do. It's what's the Village of Wildflowers? Is that down by near you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and Highland Lake Cove.
Yeah, Highland Lake's the one I'm most familiar with.
That's where that's where we would like to hold our tiny house festival next year. So I'm not making an announcement or anything, but Carrie Lindsay has been a fun guy to get to know. Hey, what was I going to ask you? So, we have about 1,400 people in a tiny house group here in Asheville, and we meet monthly. So if you guys want to meet somebody, you can just come. And we typically do one tiny house tour a month as well. Okay, well, I didn't get much of a response. Okay. So did either of you have any construction experience before this project?
I mean, other than my core and sustainable class with associating my freshman year, and I've helped friends' parents build porches, but nothing like that actually like is really thought of and like required you to like think and have problems to solve.
I haven't really done anything with woodworking other than being here at the school.
So do you feel differently about your high school experience because of this project?
Yeah. Not most classes in high school make you think of like what other people would need or want in a certain situation. Because that's like what Cersei's trying to figure out with the stairs really is like, how is it going to be easier for them, or what's going to be the most convenient way to do it is you can't just have like a 8-foot ladder hanging out around the house, but you gotta like be able to put it somewhere to where it's easy and convenient for them to reach as well as put together and work. And not many classes offer like a situation of that, like where you have to think of what other people will need or want. So I mean, this is probably like a first time thing for me in high school. It definitely is.
We've been building small buildings here in the shop years. They were doing it before I got here, but the whole concept of having to interact with HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and these little buildings we build, we just build a square box and send it out. But tiny house, here come the subs in and they start to take apart what you built, and you've got give and take, just like the part that Dalton's talking about, the challenge of where in the world do we put an 8-foot ladder, or how do we make it into 2 4s, or where it goes, the challenging stuff that comes with a real project. I think every class that's dealing with this, from the design work to pulling it together. I spent all those years building those houses, and there was always a client, and you had all the subs, and you had that give and take, or even conflict between what a client wants, what is doable, what code will allow, all those things. And we have those same kind of challenges to work out how to get everybody happy, put together something that actually works. So for a school setting, I'm convinced this is the future.
So Riley and Dalton, a lot of people in the trades are Mr. Searcy's age or my age, and are going to be retiring or older, right? And so they're saying there's going to be a need for people who will do this kind of work. Would either of you consider making this a career?
I mean, definitely. I'm more of a hands-on type of person because I don't like sitting around. I'm more of like that's why I like this class so much. You get to get out of the classroom, you get to like actually do real work rather than sitting and staring at a board and listen to somebody lecture with you on something that, who knows if you're truly going to need, like, math 5, what some people take, you don't know, like, if you're truly going to need that in the body of work that you tend to do eventually. So I mean, yeah, this is definitely like a better way to see it, because I enjoyed this activity and doing what this is. So I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely consider going into at least a construction job, because it's I don't know, it seems better than most jobs that I know of and more enjoyable.
So I asked the girls this question. I'm going to ask you. If you could reinvent high school, would this be a part of it?
Yeah, because it teaches kids life lessons. It teaches you what you need to know. It's sort of like what they were saying. Like you won't know how to actually I don't know how to like put it into words. You wouldn't know like how to do certain things like they said that you would learn here, and it's really like a lot of critical thinking that you have to have in a real life situation rather than trying to solve a hard math problem or figure out a text in English. You're actually figuring something out that you'll need to know and would be helpful to have like just as a common knowledge rather than just the few people that you'd have to go to contact like, oh, what's your opinion on this, rather than just know yourself. So yeah, I definitely have this as part of it.
Yeah, I would have building construction at Park High School as well, because you can learn to fix up things on your own. If you eventually own a house, you can fix things up yourself instead of calling someone and having it be much more expensive than doing it yourself.
Okay, I love those answers. So, Mr. Searcy, can we do a rotation here? Guys, Riley and Dalton, thank you. That was terrific.
Miss Maddox. Miss Maddox.
Okay. So, Courtney, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, and you have Parker with you.
That's correct.
Okay, and can we do a little organizing right now? When we're done with you and me and Parker, will Miss Willis and Mr. Searcy still be around?
Yes.
So we could bring you back?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Searcy said I should earmark this question for you, which is, where did the idea come from?
Honestly, I was sitting around doing my everyday stuff with my students, and it dawned on me that I'd rather them have a big project where it was real life, where they had to talk to other students, they had to do real life things, and I felt like this was a project that could be obtainable to do that. Because in the real world, you're talking to interior designers, you're talking to the construction workers, you're all having to work together, and they don't get an option to learn those types of things by just sitting in front of a computer drawing.
That's just so good. Did you come up with the idea?
Yes. And then I immediately went to Miss Willis and said, this is what I want to do. Do you think we can do it?
So good. And so that had to have been not this calendar year, not this school year, but the previous school year, sometime at the beginning of the year?
Yes.
And was it a hard sell?
Actually, no. We were kind of concerned that our principal and our CTE director would be concerned about money and how we were going to be able to do this. So we really sat down and figured out exactly how we wanted it to be presented to them. And we probably worked a lot harder than we needed to because they were all in from the very beginning.
Yeah, explain why they were all in. What was appealing about it?
I think the way that we came across by saying we wanted a hands-on project for our students that they could get involved upon, all the different aspects of what design means, and being able to also work across curriculums, which they always tell us, to try to find ways to do that. And I think just those two things right off the bat had them sold.
And that's just terrific. And what do you teach?
I am the drafting teacher, so I teach drafting, architecture, and engineering.
So who designed this particular house?
The students, 100%.
And did they use other plans as inspiration? Did they go looking at other homes? How did they come up with the design?
Yeah, we always work through the design process. So the first thing I had them do was to look at current tiny homes and the way they had done it. I didn't give them any square footages to look at. I just wanted them to look at overall design, and then we kind of narrowed it down once we knew what size trailer we were using. So they started there, and then I had them in 4 groups, and they designed 4 different plans. And then they got with the interior design students and designed 4 different interiors for those houses, and then we presented to the CTE director and our principal, and then we kind of conformed all of those designs into the one that you see behind us now.
Terrific. Parker, when did you get involved?
I was there the very first day that we started the project, and I got to see this project start to where it is now, and it was really great to see how the design process developed. in the beginning, we split up into groups, and each group had a completely different design. And I really got to see each design mold into the house that we have now.
And Parker, so were you a student of Ms. Maddox in drafting?
Yes, I've actually taken several of her courses. I've taken 5 of them.
So she's a good teacher.
She's a very good teacher.
Okay, and so would you consider doing this as a career when you're done with school?
Absolutely. In fact, that's actually the plan right now, to go into architecture, hopefully at one of the tech schools in our state.
Could you live in a tiny house?
I think I could, as long as I was alone.
I guess the question is, do you think you'll actually build one for yourself?
I don't know that I'll build one for myself, but I do see designing some more tiny houses in the future.
Parker, why do you think they're so attractive to people?
I think that the main thing is, A, they're much smaller, so they have less to keep up. And B, they don't have to be in one spot. So if they move, they can take everything with them. They don't have to move homes or unpack or anything like that.
Is the financial aspect of it something you think about at all?
I think that's a very big factor to the draw to it also. You also get a lot more quality appliances or things like that when you have a lower budget on the construction and other things in the house.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I've asked the same question of the other students. If you could reinvent high school, would this be a significant part of it?
I think high school should revolve around these kind of classes, because these classes really show you what the real world will bring. And you don't know when the other classes are going to come into play, but I feel much more prepared going into college and other classes like that I will be taking in college now that I've taken these courses.
Yeah, and 5 classes from the same teacher. What makes her such a great teacher? Just
how hands-on and how she goes through the design processes in these classes. I've taken 3 architecture classes and a drafting and engineering class. I actually took an advanced studies class with her, and that was kind of a pivoting point for how I was going to go further in the architecture career. And it all started with this tiny house, which pushed me towards architecture.
Yeah, I bet you're all going to be really interested to see who buys it.
Yes. Definitely.
And then you're going to probably want to go visit it. Wait, Parker, does the house have a name?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
You got to give it a name.
We'll have to think about that one for a little while. I think we've just kind of called it the tiny house. Around here, it's just the tiny house, and everybody knows what we're talking about.
That's terrific. Parker, anything else you'd want to say about this experience?
I think this experience should be done in as many high schools as we can, because it really shows how all of the different classes work together. And I think that's very important.
Okay, thanks, Parker. Really appreciate it. Nice to get to meet you. So can we get the adults back together? How hard will that be?
2 seconds.
Okay, so I got to tell you that when I would hold this conversation with my own children, I have 4, and my youngest is in college now. The conversation of how would you reinvent high school, it ends up being a long and passionate and interesting conversation. Do you feel like the students who've worked through this project have gained some better understanding of their own education and how it plays a role in their own lives?
Absolutely. I think that they have realized that we do offer classes in school that they can be interested in. They can get their hands dirty. It's not, sitting in a desk for 8 hours a day learning, whatever they may be learning in that class, but they can also learn real life, hands-on information that they can use out in the real world to make them better adults, better human beings, all well-rounded.
I feel like the engagement, the actual focus on the work we're doing, whether we're just putting in paneling or all the way back to when we put in the subfloor and we're doing our own insulation, all this stuff, the real practical stuff, has their attention in a different way than anything I've taught since I've been here.
And they're getting to try all these different experiences out and figure out which ones they enjoy the most, and then not waste money on something else in college. So I feel like we're saving money, we're saving time, they're figuring it out now. And then they like our classes and we have more fun with them because they're enjoying it, and it makes it really easier and fun to teach them.
Yeah, and again, your kids are going to listen to this and say, your voices are so quiet. We've never heard you so quiet. You got to really project, because we can hear you, but it's hard. So I have some background here in education, having run education events for a long time. And one of the things I hear a lot from students is that high school often feels like a college admissions game, that they're spending a lot of time trying to do things for other people to be able to check the right boxes to get into college. Do you think that these kids, if they go on to college, will make different choices than they would have made without this?
Absolutely. I think just in talking to the students every day, not about curriculum or not about anything that we have to actually teach them, but just one-on-one as students, as people, they see things a lot differently than some of the students that haven't taken any CTE classes. So I think that makes them more prepared as they go out, and it makes them be able to make the decisions in a different way.
I think that when you look at how low the percentage is of people doing a job in the field of their study, and that whole question of what's my major and what do I want to do, I think this practical stuff gives these kids a lot better chance of choosing a field and going out in the direction that they'll actually wind up enjoying and doing, because they've seen the real thing. And it's not just some hypothetical or the old, how much money do I make to make the decision into a field? And I think that's one of the worst possible ways to start down an education road. This way, they can do something that they have a passion about for, and if you're good at it, the money will come.
They're finding things they love, and they have a leg up over everybody else who didn't take these classes and figure it out this early on in life. Okay, for the first time, Brittany, I'm actually going to ask you to repeat yourself, because I don't think we're going to be able to hear that. Can you say that one more time? Yes. They're being able to find out what they love, and they're going to be able to do what they love, and they have a leg up from everybody else because they figured it out this early. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so are the students still around, or are they gone? Some of them are here. Well, let's have those who are still there come together. We'll say a nice big thank you. Okay, so it's Parker, Shelby, and Madison who are still here. Okay, and bring the adults back in too, would you? Okay, so we're missing Riley and Dalton, but this handsome crew has built, almost finished, a tiny house called the Tiny House at Henderson County Public Schools. Are you at a particular school in the school district?
We're at West Henderson.
You're West Henderson. Okay, and if I brought you all pizzas as a thank you at some point, would I be allowed to do that? Would they let me on campus?
And we'd be willing to eat them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stick around after we stop the broadcast because I want to talk to the adults again. But to this group, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of your willingness to come on. And this looks like it's been a great experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.